Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. You're down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories and some good insight on things related to prison, and I'm going to share some with y'all today. If you happen to like this video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Also, if you new, I tell y'all I rap. Do not get it twisted. My flow is not like Curtis Blow. All you have to do, go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down the gas stations. You're going to hear my music there. It's fire. I got a song called Never Gave Me Therapy. It's on all major streaming sites. Check your boy out. Now, if you happen to follow some of the California prison channels or my channels, you'll see that it is a ugly, unfortunate, potential situation brewing between the Southsiders and the blacks. Now, what happened is a few days ago, the Southsiders rushed and stabbed a black Crip. The black Crip was able to let others know that he was being stabbed in the building. Eventually, at some point, and a riot ensued. Now, the reasons behind that initial stabbing follow. Now, before the Crip was transferred to Salinas Valley, he was at a prison by the name of High Desert. Now, there are several different reports coming out. Some people say that he got into it with a member of the Mexican Mafia known as Emmy, and he stabbed him. My source is telling me that no, he didn't stab him. He only knocked the dude out. Either or, of course, that was a act that the Southsiders did not appreciate and they was not going to accept. Subsequently, after that initial altercation, the Crip, who I don't know if I mentioned, had done about 25 to 30 years, so he was a lifer. He was very well aware of California politics, tactics, things of that nature. He was transferred to a prison, another level 4, known as Salinas Valley. I believe my source is telling me it occurred in April. He was approached by the Southsiders, and the blacks had a discussion with the Southsiders, and the Southsiders asked that this black be removed from the yard to prevent potential problems. The Crip, told them, explained his situation, and he said it was a misunderstanding. He had to handle his business. Now, I had a lot of comments on my page, to keep it 100, all from Hispanics, saying that the blacks failed to handle their business by removing this Crip from the yard. But my question is this here. It has been reported by several channels, many Hispanic channels as well, that the member of the MA was drunk. He was being extremely disrespectful on numerous occasions toward the Crip, and the Crip eventually got into it, was tired of being disrespected, and knocked the dude out. So my question is, if that is the case, then why should the Crip have been removed, especially in a violent nature and manner, from the yard? I believe everybody knows that all prisons are based on respect, and the same in the California prison. Regardless of who an individual may be, if another man is verbally disrespecting you, if he's drunk, disrespecting you at some point in time, you have to handle your business, and so that is what occurred. Now, of course, I understand, due to the fact that who he was, he held a high position, the Southsiders could not let this happen, right? But like I said, once again, I don't believe any race in California would remove a member from their organization, a member from their collective, a member from their group, for handling his business in a situation where he was not wrong, right? Still in all, like I say, they approached the blacks and asked that this happen, right? This should happen, that he should be removed. Due to the fact that he had served about 25 or 30 years, I don't understand how he allowed himself to feel comfortable. Not saying that he felt comfortable, but I'm pretty sure, his head was on the swivel. He stayed alert. He was always on a sense of heightened awareness due to the potential threat coming his way, right? Like I said, it was requested that he be moved. For whatever reason, he happened to, I guess, get caught with his guard down for now. So from what I'm hearing is, I believe it was last Wednesday, he was returning from work around 6:30. He was led into the building. When you're outside, It's an electronic doors that open. You go into this long hallway. They are the building is broken down into three different sections: A section, B section, and C section. And they have these electronic doors at each section. And depending on what section that you're into, you walk to your section. First, you're going to approach A section. You go to a little to the left is B section, and there's a little to the left of that is C section. So I heard that as he's coming through this hallway, you had two Southsiders hiding in this little, like, it's a door where it opens into a closet and it's back a little bit. They was hiding in there. When he came through, he was rushed. He was stabbed some type of way. He was able to get up to run forward to that little section. He tried to get into A section. A section was closed. He made his way down to C section. The door was open, and he let the blacks know that he had just been stabbed and attacked by the Southerners. Upon hearing that, the blacks in that day room kicked off a riot. They rushed and got into it with the Southerners, and subsequently 3 Southerners were stabbed. And so that was the situation that happened right there. I just wonder why, like I said, I had several comments on my page from Hispanics saying that the blacks should have removed the crib. And it's unfortunate to me, in my opinion, that a lot of times some individuals will listen to stories with biased ears. I just don't understand why they expected the blacks to remove someone from their midst who hadn't done anything wrong but defend his respect. Now, it's also been reported, and I don't know how true this is, and I would like to say that sometimes you may be at a prison and an incident will happen on the yard that you're on, but in another building. And due to different people coming, writing kites and saying this and saying that, sometimes there'll always be different versions or different stories being circulated about what actually took place. Lately, it's been circulated that I've heard a couple of times that possibly one of the Hispanics who was stabbed passed away, but that so far has not been confirmed or denied. But this is one reason why, like I said, when you come to prison in California and the politics are everybody is programming with their own race, whether you're white, then you hang with the whites, if you're black, you hang with the blacks, so on and so forth. And one person's conduct is a reflection upon his whole race, because there's not going to be any head-up fights. There's not going to be a head-up fight with a black and a white, or a black and a Hispanic. If they start to fight, it involves all members of that race. And so this is why all organizations in California, all groups, gangs, stress the importance of a person's conduct being upright in A1 because of this situation here. Now, you have something that happens in another prison, High Desert. Then the guy gets transferred to Salinas Valley, and 3 people at least who have nothing to do with that situation, that initial situation in High Desert, has suffered some type of injury, and so this is why it's important. But sometimes, due to certain positions people have in certain cliques, certain gangs, certain organizations, sometimes we know that certain people get drunk in their power, get caught up in who they are. Not saying that this is what happened in that situation, but it does happen. And sometimes people feel that they are above certain type of disciplinary actions that other individuals would get for doing the same thing that they done. Sometimes you may have people at a particular at a particular prison, and they see a high-ranking member or a person who has a lot of salute, who has a lot of status and a lot of ranking from the particular group that they function with, and they don't want to do anything to this individual out of fear, maybe out of there's no one around on this person's level to even make that type of call to say that this person should be disciplined. So there are many reasons sometimes that will lead to a person not getting disciplined, DP'd, in the manner that someone else who holds a lesser status from that same organization would get if he committed the same infraction, right? There is no telling how long this situation now may drag on. Sometimes stuff like this may happen. Sometimes things like this may carry on for years and years to come, 2-3 years. Right now, that particular prison is slammed down, but Sometimes, what will happen after a situation like this is they may have them slam down a week. They may have them slam down 2 or 3 weeks, maybe sometime, maybe 4 or 5 months. But at some point in time, the officers will come around. They'll search each building. They'll search each cell, trying to prevent the convicts there from having weapons, because at some point in time they must release them back to the yard. And normally when they release the doors, once again, fights, riots, stabbings, all that stuff kick off and ensue, and things like this can go on for years and years and years and years, right? So what they may end up having to do is eventually just transfer that whole yard, everybody on that yard, just transfer them to other prisons. That way you can change the dynamics of that particular yard, and you relieve the tension, right? And like I said, it's a sad situation, because just because a cat is on a level 4 does not mean he doesn't have a date. Just because a cat is a lifer who may have life doesn't mean he necessarily wants to continue to get in trouble, especially now at a time and age when they are letting lifers go home. I remember when I was on the level 4, I just automatically assumed everybody had life. But I've seen people eventually go home from there, and so just think about it. Say you're on the yard, you're in prison, you've done 7, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. You're getting ready to go home in a week. Something like this kicks off, you pretty much have no choice but to participate. Your organization is going to expect participation about you, but also you have to participate just to save your life, just for the simple fact of self-preservation. You have to, it's unfortunate, but you have to go hard up in there. In order to get home, you have to make it home. And let me tell you, by me being a lifer myself, I would hear a lot of people say, "Oh man, if I had life, I'd do this. If I had life, I'd do that." Man, listen, the average lifer is trying to go home just like anybody else. Just because you have life and you're in a situation where you don't know when you're going home, as opposed to somebody who already has what they call a determined sentence, which means you've been sentenced to 10 years or whatever it is, and my date is January 4th 2026, I'm going home. As a lifer, you don't know if you're ever going home, but that does not negate the fact that you want to go home. That does not stop the fact that you don't want to potentially get in any more trouble. That's going to definitely extend your stay in prison. But sometimes you have to, in order to survive. Now, you have some lifers who come to prison, and due to having a life sentence, they give up hope and they don't care, right? And in my opinion, you have a lot of that early into your sentence, maybe the first 10, 15, 20 years and stuff, but there are some people who, despite having life, still want to try to get out and go home. After a while, listen, let me be the first one to tell you, after a while, prison becomes old, man. You get tired of doing the same old stuff day in and day out. It's the same thing. It's no deviation for the most part from your program, outside of a riot, a stabbing, or something like that happening, But outside of that, you may wake up in the morning, you go eat breakfast at 6 o'clock. You come out, you go to the yard, you exercise for a couple hours or whatever, play a little basketball. You come back in maybe at 1 o'clock, you go to school, you go to work, you go to a trade. But imagine doing the same thing day in and day out, for 15, 20 plus years. You're eating the same food. After a while, that stuff really gets old. But in order to survive, it's necessary. I remember that I was on a level 2, which is a pretty relatively low security prison. I ended up stabbing an individual and went to the hole and ended up going to the level 4. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I was really a little disappointed in myself that I had put myself back in a situation to now had to carry a knife, and was even more likely to use it than I did on the 2 yard, because on the 2 yard, of course, I had a knife, which I ended up using it. But now on this level 4, the potential to use this knife and the potential to get into some life-threatening situations is exponentially greater than it was on that 2 yard. When you're on a level 4, it's just a matter of time before something jumps off, And once again, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. On that level 2, when I had to go handle my business and do what I do on old boy, man, I was trying to send him back to where he came from. But after I end up going to the hole, He survived the attack. I can't tell you guys how many times I thank God for not allowing me to kill that man, because if I did, of course, I wouldn't have been sitting here today, And that's just the harsh reality of prison, man. Sometimes you get caught up in a situation and you have many individuals in prison who definitely will handle their business if they have to, But the reality is, a lot of us come to the realization that we have messed our lives off sitting up in prison. And who wants to be inconvenienced any further by going to the hole? Now you having to sit up in the hole, you're not getting packages. The few small pleasures that you can get in prison to make life a little more comforting, a little more able to do. Now you don't even have those sitting in the hole. So, um, it's definitely an ugly situation, because now in Salinas Valley, you may be, in a cell and your next door neighbors are the opposite race of whoever you're getting into it. Like I said, when I was on the level 2, I got the stabbing, I went to the level 4. My next door neighbors were Hispanics, and every night I could hear them. It sounded like they had a hacksaw blade up in there. They were sharpening something. Every night they sharpen and sharpen and sharpen. And I told my celly, who happened to be Tick from Northside 44 Stockton, I said, man, if we ever get into it, we're going to have to immediately come out here and get cracking, because whatever they had up in that thing sounded like it was, it was a killing machine. And that's just the cold reality of prison, man. So, in my opinion, can war be avoided between the two groups? I don't know. I honestly think that it can, but will it? No, I definitely think things will get uglier before they get better. And it's just a sad situation to be in, right? Because we all know in prison, you got in each building, you have a guard in the tower with a mini 14 rifle that shoots 2 to 3 rounds, and he's shooting to kill. The second that he sees a weapon, under the policy that governs what he can and can't do in that tower, he can shoot, of course. And you have to understand that in a war like this, a riot where people are fighting, people are losing their lives, it's going to be knives floating around there. People are going to come out trying to get cracking, if not just for the fear of protecting their own life. So it's definitely an ugly situation, man. And I definitely would not want to be there. Anyway, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.